Hello, Renee. How are you doing?
Hi, Magic. I'm so excited that we've come up with an alternative solution to our technology problems this morning.
We are the best. We are the team that can solve any kind of
We
a
are.
stupid trouble with a Zoom, StreamYard, whatever is trying to stop us. We are unstoppable.
It's almost like we spent 30 years in tech.
Yes, yes. And I can consult you on, how to fix the problems, and you consult me how to fix the problem. We consult each other because today we are talking about the consulting, right?
Today, we are talking about consulting. For those of you who have been following our series Beyond the Badge, you are very familiar with our background, but some of you may not have been following us. If you haven't, you really should. We are really, really good at what we talk about. But Beyond the Badge is really a series that Magic and I put together to focus on reflecting upon our journey after we separated from our corporate jobs of 25 and 30 years. And today, the episode really focuses on different reflections around the decision to go back into a corporate structured job or environment, or opting for a consulting gig or putting, the role of a consultant on. And the first thing we debated was, wait a minute, how do you define being a consultant? And that's where we start. So Magic, why don't you go to the next slide and
Just
let's uh
before
let's
just before
start.
we do
Hmm.
that, Renee, I wanted to first
Yes.
ask everybody to subscribe, like, and comment. Okay, so if
Yes.
you are seeing that, make sure that you stay with us, on a regular basis. If this is the first time
Hmm.
that you're here, and I also wanted to thank a couple of people that reached out to me recently, saying because again, WFRs, layoffs, mutual separations, whatever they are being called, are really tough, and they are becoming a little bit more popular recently. And a
Hmm.
few of you have reached out to me saying, "Hey, look, Magic, please keep on doing this stuff. Talk to Renee about this because
Hmm.
it helps." So if it helps, we'll continue talking about different topics. And if you believe there
Yeah.
is a topic that you would like us to tackle, we are super happy to do that because 2 years gives a perspective that I wish
Hmm.
somebody would have given me back in a day, okay? And kind of a shake me a little bit and show me the path and show me the options and show me a different idea. So today we're going to talk about consulting because this is one of the most popular things that you can do uh, when you step away from the corporate world. Because again, when you are stepping away from the corporate world, it's not because you are not valuable. It's not because you don't
Hmm.
carry, value with you. You are definitely super, super good and super, super important. It's just that the company is making some kind of a different decision with their approach to the workforce. Okay, and this value that you carry with you is going to stay with you, and you can offer this value to other people in a form of consulting. So the definition, we obviously spoke to our friend ChatGPT.
Yes. The other consultant in our consultancy.
It's I think it's an extremely useful tool, and I encourage everyone to use this concept as much as they can. Uh, Consulting, obviously, as we said, it's a expert, somebody with expertise, somebody who brings outside knowledge, the knowledge that you are carrying with you out of the corporate world, the knowledge, the skills, the fresh perspective many times, and help to make the decisions and help and solve problems, uncover opportunities. It's advice, it's guidance, many times hands-on experience, hands-on support. Some of the consultants stop at giving advice. There are more advisors. Some of the consultants actually go and step into the everyday
Hmm.
operations of a company and try to treat it as a project and help to improve the certain area, be it in finance or operations or marketing or what name you. That's what we've learned from Mr. ChatGPT.
Well, and it's interesting actually. This is kind of timely. I was Tuesday night. For those of you who don't know, I live in Florida. Florida has an area called the Space Coast, which is basically different counties and towns that border the Kennedy Space Center, where a lot of the SpaceX rockets and United Alliance and a lot of even now manned missions to the International Space Station, a lot of them are launched from here. And I attended an event called Wine, Women, and Wealth. And that event had a lot of wine, which I don't drink, so that kind of I didn't take advantage. But it had a lot of women, women business owners, women lawyers, women wealth management owners, financial advisors, accountants, and then other women that work across different industries. And the discussion was really around wealth. The reason I bring all of this up, there was a business lawyer there on the panel taking lots of kind of Q&A and giving advice. And one of the things that she kind of highlighted is anyone, everyone should have even if it's a solo limited, it's called an LLC here, a limited liability corporation. She's like, if you bake dog treats to sell at the local farmers markets, you should have an LLC, right? And similar, that applies to consultants or to anyone that is got a current job, but they have a side hustle or a side gig, a passion, something that they enjoy doing. And what this lawyer advised is it's a good idea to have that LLC, both financially and from a litigation standpoint. It protects you. It also has some interesting tax shelters in the US and particularly in Florida. And so this applies as we start then double clicking on the consultant definitions. In the next slide, Magic and I kind of gave you we'll give you a couple of examples of different types of consulting. But before we go to the different types of consulting, one of the things we also want to share with you is our own little journeys of, when you first leave your corporate gig, you kind of go through this mental and emotional process of, do I go to another corporate job or do I just go on my own? Or do I turn my side hustle into a, a thing? Whatever, baking the dog treats into a thing, right? So let's talk a little bit about that, Magic, if you
Well,
may. Like,
I
yeah.
agree. Like this is something that you should be doing right away. Okay, and one of the we spoke about the fact that uh, when you leave your corporate job, it's typically after a while it's a relief and a freedom and the ability to do stuff.
Hmm.
So anything that you're gonna do, if you are helping others and you've kind of are sharing your knowledge and supporting some other companies, it's de facto consulting. Whether you choose to charge for it or not, we spoke
Hmm.
about it in
Hmm.
our
Hmm.
last episode. It's your choice. It's important that you
Hmm.
know about the fact that you can monetize your knowledge, and you should be monetizing your knowledge at a certain point in time. But I think you should. There will be people that will be transitioning to that right away. There'll be people that will be taking a little bit of time to think about this, and there'll be people that are already thinking ahead of the game, like I think Renee did. Correct, Renee?
Hmm. Yeah, and it's interesting because for me it started as a side hustle in terms of the teas. So again, if you follow us and you follow me, I have a tea shop. It's an organic, loose leaf tea shop and wellness center. I started the personal life coaching, and that includes what you drink, what you eat, how you rest, how you de-stress. And I started that probably 2013, and I became a certified coach as well in 2012. I had just a side hustle, a side interest to help people with wellness in general, right? And I I would say it evolved over time. And even today, I was just telling Magic, right? I think as we talk through the presentation, I'll spend a little bit more time on it. But sometimes there's things that happen that kind of fill you with some insecurities. And you're like, oh my God, maybe I should go back to the warm safety of the corporate world. But the reality is, there is no warm, safe corporate world. Those days are long gone, even before now. There is no job security per se, right? And government in the US used to be kind of the last horizon where you would be employed in government for life. That's not even the case anymore. So I think it's important to really evaluate, what do you want to do? What are you passionate about? What are some unique skills that you really can monetize?
Yes, and again, the earlier you think about this, the better. It doesn't have to be something that is in conflict with your corporate job, to be honest,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because you can do it as a, free of charge opportunity, like do it as a volunteering.
Mm-hmm.
I've done it in a way by volunteering to serve on the board of the management board of the school,
Mm-hmm.
offering my knowledge and my abilities to solve problems for free. Obviously, I had to have an approval from the from my company for it, but it was pretty obvious that that wasn't any conflict of interest here.
Mm-hmm.
I spoke recently with a couple of people that have been planning their exit for a while, and they actually prepared very well for this. Whether you are preparing or not, I think the again, you're right. I think it's going to be very important to define your skills and what you want to share, what you can and offer people. And the more you talk to different, uh, kind of a people and organizations, the more you can realize what do people value, and you can
Mm-hmm.
have a couple of proposals, and then you can present them and see where what people are willing to pay for. Yeah, because that's going to be at the end the important element of this. Yeah.
Well, and I would offer a couple of things, right? There are different types of consulting paths. So of course, you could go on your own and offer your independent expertise. There's a lot of career coaches, or technology courses, or just a lot of people that go into this independent or solo consulting. Or actually, something I do quite often is I work with other solo consultants. Like, I'll give you an example. I know a little bit about marketing, but I'm not a marketing expert. I have a great partner in crime. She's in Canada, and she is an amazing marketing mind, and she has a marketing consulting firm. She has the ability to do other things, but her core strength is marketing. And whenever I need to work with a client, I use on marketing, I usually bring her in, and then we figure out how we split the fee, and everybody wins, right? So there's
And
many
that's and
ways
that's
in which,
that's
even
also,
as an
Renee, I think this is also one of the good best practices, okay, on
mm-hmm,
consulting.
mm-hmm,
First of all, if you team up with somebody else, you can leverage this other person, ideally complementary skills, and you can kind of share
yes,
the responsibilities or share the clients, etc. Also, when you form like a team, maybe two or three people, you're no
mm-hmm,
longer one person running around, trying to cover things and pitch the services. It's a group of people.
mm-hmm,
It's a collaboration. It's a teamwork. It's always better. It is perceived better. It is always better. You don't need to share the
yeah,
same company name, but you kind of work as a
mm-hmm.
as a as a group, as an organization, can support each other. And I found it very very beneficial also for myself, uh, to kind of look for people that I can work with and brainstorm and
Mm-hmm.
build offers together and send those offers to customers. That was always much easier and better. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you incorporate, so separate the incorporation, the legal entity incorporation from how you work. So you could be incorporated as an independent solo consultant, but that does not preclude or mean that you can't work with other independent solo consultants or even with a boutique firm. Another thing that I do is I collaborate with firms, consulting firms that are a little bit bigger than I am. They have more staff. And what I provide is a complementary set of experiences and skills. So I work with that firm already has the established brand in a particular area. They might have an established way of generating leads or filling a classroom of people. And then my job is to come in and deliver the course or the training that's going to run for 6 to 8 weeks, right?
To
So those
subcontract.
boutique firms.
Yeah. To
Yes,
subcontract many
yes,
times. Yeah.
yes.
But
And
I
I don't
think
know
what.
about you,
Mhm,
Magic, but I
mhm.
got approached shortly after my separation became public. I had gotten approached by established really big firms like Deloitte, PwC, and they wanted me for a specific project. So I think that's the other thing that people should know. If you have a built-in reputation in the industry, you might get approached by a larger firm. Don't don't automatically say no to that, right?
Oh. And there's also a lot of kind of a networking consulting companies. I'm not going to give any
Hmm.
names because I haven't been super successful with them. I had some
Hmm.
success, but there are this kind of a networking companies that you can register with them, and they kind of reach out to the customers. They kind of sell your services. So you can also register with some of those companies. And I know I spoke with a friend of mine recently. She's doing a lot of those. You basically set your
Hmm.
hourly rate, and she's doing those
Hmm.
a lot of those kind of a one-offs with those companies. Again, sharing the
Yeah.
knowledge. I will keep on saying, when I say sharing the knowledge, it's not sharing the data from your previous employer. It's the stuff that you've learned that is in your mind. It's the things that you know about how things are done, not how things are done in this particular company in details. Okay, so that's an important distinction. But Renee, I think the topic that we wanted to kind of cover today was the distinction between, is consulting a freedom or famine? Because many
Uh-huh.
times, people are afraid, hey, I'm going to go to consulting. What are some of the advantages and disadvantages, basically, of the consulting job? Do you want to cover that?
In the past 2 years, I've been through a lot of these thoughts around the freedom and the famine. And some of them are have weighted heavier on my decision to stay as a consultant. But it's different for everyone, right? For me, the priority, again, I've lost my mom. I've had a lot of personal losses that have reframed my perspective in life. And one of the things that for me is number one priority, just happens to be number one on this list, is flexibility in my schedule, the people that I work with, and the things that I work on. So that's huge for me.
It's massive. I think you know at at a big corporation, most of the time, or many times in a different projects, you can kind of work. I always wanted to work with the people that I liked.
Hmm.
That was one of the good things about very large company, that I could many times choose the buddy partners like Renette, partners in
Hmm.
crime to go and pursue some kind of ideas. But it's not always the choice. Right now, I was talking to a friend of mine recently. It's like, what I enjoy about my current position is obviously the fact that I'm choosing my collaborators. I kind of a
Mm-hmm.
team up with people. I give them a call. I don't have to call anyone. I don't need to
Mm-hmm.
leverage. I'm not talking about the customers now. I'm talking about the people that I work with are typically people that I choose to work with.
Mm-hmm.
And the flexibility is super, super good, okay? Because you really, many times you can choose the event, the event, the topic, the idea, the time uh, that you want to work, as opposed to somebody is making this choice for you.
Mm-hmm.
So this is really good news for sure in this kind of a single person consulting job. Yes.
Yeah, and honestly, for me, for most of my corporate career, I traveled 50% of the time. I'm at a place in my life where I don't want to travel that much, for a variety of reasons, right? I want to spend more time with my husband. I want to just do other things, and I want to actually work much closer with my local community. I've gotten very involved with the local chamber of commerce, with the local business groups of women that are entrepreneurs. And I really just want to spend more time impacting my community, my immediate community, rather than gallivanting around the world, you know, doing doing things that are don't necessarily have a direct impact on my day-to-day community. I'm working on things that impact our local ecology, like our river, the health of our lagoon that's right across from where I live, right? And so it's just, and that maybe is a little bit of the personal fulfillment and aligning the consulting with purpose and passion that's at the bottom of the slide, right? And so it's been a little bit of that transition for me.
Me, on the other hand, I love traveling and I really like it. And I
Yes.
and I enjoy the events and going to those events and running around with my camera and kind of
Mm-hmm.
reporting back to people what I've seen and interesting things that I've learned from a lot of different places. And I continue doing that, after I've left the corporate life. So the good news is though that I have a little bit more freedom to choose which events I can attend. Because in
Yeah.
the past, I would mainly attend the events that were corporate sponsored or corporate supported.
Mm-hmm.
I would have very little time, a lot of internal meetings, frankly saying.
Mm-hmm.
In this new kind of a setup, I can go to events that normally would be the competitive events, the
Mm-hmm.
Novotech World, for example.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I went to many events that were just completely outside of my former area of focus, or I thought
Mm-hmm.
so. And I learned a lot of new
Mm-hmm.
things and a lot of new activities. Yes. So again, it's aligning consultant with purpose and passion is actually a very, very important element of why this kind of a job, this kind of a second career, if you will, is very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say too, I have my best friend used to work in large corporations for a long time. And about 5 years before I exited the big corporate world, she exited, and she's opted to go and work with a lot of startups because of the financial upside, right? When you get into a startup that at the right time, you can really make out really well, right? Because they're either funded by venture capitalists, and if they go IPO, you could, stand to make a lot of money. I have a little bit of that in the Space Coast because there's a small startup companies around the space industry that also use a lot of tech. And so there is some opportunity there, but not quite as much as she's in California. So in the West Coast, I think
Oh yeah.
you have a lot more of that type of business that you could go into. But the point being is that there can be a lot of financial upside. Generally, though, that financial upside is in the future. So your paycheck that you're making now, or whatever income you're making now, tends to be on the lower side because those compensation agreements are written in a way that you kind of make smaller monies up front, with the promise of the big payoff, after a particular event, either a contract or an M&A, some kind of event.
Most of my friends, when they, there's kind of this difference between the advising and yeah, kind of being the
Hmm.
advisor and being a project owner, because that could be the two types of the consulting work. Many of the agreements they have is a little bit of money up front on the kind of a, I don't know, hourly or daily
Uh-huh.
fee
Uh-huh.
retainer, some kind of a retainer, but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
most of the money is coming from when the project is actually over and the results are starting to flow in. Then this is where
Mm-hmm.
the payback is higher. That's for sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
You
Yeah.
should be adjusting to that. This is not like in a corporate world when you have a monthly pay and quota and you deliver on quota,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
you
yeah,
get a
yeah,
bonus.
yeah.
It's more of
Yes.
a, it's more of a, and there is no draw, there's no
Yeah, yeah,
things
yeah.
like
For those
that.
of you
It's
who've never been
yeah.
in sales, what draw is basically money that they give you ahead of the deal coming in anticipation of the deal coming in. So, yeah. I would say before we move off of this slide into the famine slide, for some people, the be your own boss and autonomy and decision and direction, I I would say I have mixed emotions about that, because even when you're in consulting, you have a client that your clients are your bosses. Even in my tea shop, my customer is my boss, right? You have some autonomy, of course, on who you choose to work with and the projects you pick and so forth, but you always have a boss. So I think and that's why I was conflicted with this bullet, but I decided not to fight with it too much.
Oh, you
So
still your
yeah,
boss. You still have a choice that is much more flexible than in a corporate
yes.
world, right? Because here
Hmm.
you can pick this project or not, and then you have a lot of bosses, and hopefully the
Yeah,
balance of the bosses is to the positive side. And there's
yeah.
not one person that can, kind of make your life a misery.
Torpedo the whole thing. Yes.
Okay, what are
Yeah.
some of the challenges? Famine, right? Oh, okay.
Yes, let's talk about some of the challenges. Yeah, absolutely. And we talked a little bit about this when we were talking about the financial upside. There is absolutely a lot more income unpredictability, right? The
At
risk,
least at the beginning, right? At the beginning, because later
certainly.
on could be smooth enough.
Hmm.
But at the beginning, it's
Yes.
not the same like a corporate paycheck for sure.
Correct, correct. And not just the corporate paycheck, but you have, in some cases, you have to think about medical insurance and contributing to a retirement or 401(k), and things that you didn't have to think about when you're part of a big corporation, because they give you all of these things. They give you this benefits package, and it's just kind of built in, and you just sign up for it and you forget it, right? So definitely think about your income beyond your paycheck, because it's much more than your paycheck.
Right. There's obviously this, kind of a need to always sell yourself in a big corporation, and this is like somehow connected with the number four. In a big corporation, there are
Hmm.
people that are selling. If you are not in a sales organization, that you may be defining the product or defining some kind of a service or offer, and there will be salespeople that will be selling. Here, you have to sell, and you have to sell yourself. So you need to be somehow, I don't know, ready to offer to show your best side, I guess,
Yeah.
to well define
Well,
your skills and the value proposition that you can bring to the customer.
hmm yeah, absolutely. And I, again, here is a place where I always felt that and maybe this is part of being a woman, like a female in technology,
Uh-huh.
where I was probably, there were many days where I was the single female in the room that
Uh,
wasn't in marketing and that wasn't the executive assistant, right? Or the HR person. I was often the single executive in the room that was female and also in sales, or female and in an operations position. So I always felt, I don't think it's only because of my gender, but I always did feel that I had to sell myself and my team, because a lot of my sales teams in our structure sold to for the different business units. And each of the business units contributed a certain amount of money to fund my teams. And I always felt I had a responsibility to represent that we were earning that money. And if we wanted to grow the team, I needed to go ask for more money. So I always had to justify that that portion. So I feel like this is an area that I already had good skills around.
You mentioned loneliness and a loss of structure, Renee.
Hmm.
This is something that I don't feel, to be honest. I know that some people kind of
Hmm.
but I think I was able to very quickly build my network and connect with people and kind of
Yep.
reach out and build some and again, in the corporate world, I was never a fan of building this kind of a big organization, a lot of people reporting to me. I was always
Hmm.
more of a trying to connect with people and work with them, as a network
Hmm.
within the
Hmm.
organization. So maybe it wasn't that of a big of a shock. Obviously, the title and the power of the budget that you carry with you helps to
Yeah.
gather people
Hmm.
around you. But when you have some good ideas, like obviously the Business as a Service Academy that we are starting with Koźmiński University, there are a lot of
Hmm.
people
Hmm.
that are kind of joining in and offering a helping hand. And you can kind of, it's not going to be a corporate structure when you have a hire and fire responsibility, but you still carry a lot of,
Yeah.
kind of a weight in the organization because you
Hmm.
somehow decide on a project, how you divide the work and how you work. It's a different type of a management structure, but the one that I was already using, I felt very comfortable with at HPE. So that is something that I didn't feel as a big problem, and I recommend anybody, kind of a networking is one of the most important things that you can do when leaving the corporate world.
Yeah, I had a great network and I continue to have a great network. So I was very quickly able to pivot and work with my network that was not within the company. I had a network of coaches. I had a network of other people that had doctorates in different areas in organizational development. I had a network of people and that were into teas and reselling wellness. So I was able to quickly pivot into places that I now the structure is different. So I did have to shift my thinking around structure.
Hmm.
And that took a minute, right? But the loneliness piece, because I had to reshape what my perception of structure was. So there was a lot, the loss of structure is a real thing.
Hmm. True.
But for me, it was just a shift. And I also, and again, I've said this before and I'll say it again, I had you, right? We had each other. And I
Yeah.
feel like I agree with you. I never felt lonely because I feel that I always had a person that understood where I was coming from and that I could talk to. And I had a couple of other really great women in my industry in tech as part of the women in technology circles that I traveled and nurtured before, independent of the company, that I was able to rely upon, that I really never felt the loneliness. But it was that loss of structure and reshifting that thought of what that new structure looked like.
It could happen to our listeners, right? It could happen
Yes,
to
for
our listeners that
sure.
they will run into
For
some of the
sure.
challenges with the fact that they are on their own, completely on their own. And again,
Hmm.
I think, and maybe we should move to some kind of a re recommendations.
Hmm.
Yeah, well, you have to. I mean, the best thing you can do is kind of connect with people, connect with others, network,
Hmm.
talk to people, and that's going to be always helpful
Hmm.
for many in many different dimensions.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah, that definitely is the recommendation, right? Is reframe, and we'll this is the recommendation slide, right? Is part of your strategies to avoid that famine is to always build your network and community outside of the company, right? But around maybe groups of common interest, whether it's technology, and even with technology, it could be data center, compute, it could be software, it could be business models, it could be verticals that, you want to sell into federal versus commercial versus enterprise. Like there's so many things. The possibilities are endless. I would recommend that you do a mind map, like when you take a whiteboard and you start mapping out, right? All of the types of connections and people and groups that you can be involved with to really kind of reshape how you look at your network and the people you work with.
I would even go further and like give a call to the people and talk to them about what is the network that
Yeah,
you can leverage from them. I mean, not from them, but with them, right? This is
through
this
them.
is one of the
Yeah.
one of the things that I found extremely valuable is when people referring me to somebody else. Okay. I would talk to them and say like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I'm thinking about this and that. What do you think? And they would say like, oh, this and this person wanted to do something similar. So maybe you talk to them. Maybe they'll offer you some help. It might look like it takes time, but it's a time well invested because some of those conversations resulted in a pretty interesting projects that I would never ever think about. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
definitely, like I think it's number 3 or 4 on our list. Leveraging networks and referrals is probably an
Yes.
extremely important element, when building that.
Yes. Yeah. And it's even happening now as a result of this particular podcast series we're doing on Beyond the Badge. And so and it's happened to Magic when he's done the ConnectWise and the MSP model. I mean, this is how the university course really it really evolved and accelerated.
Yes.
There's so many things, right? And I think that that's interesting around the last bullet, right? You create your own definition of success and you really start thinking about the world in a completely different way, almost like without boundaries.
It's also many of the people that I spoke with that have left the corporate world. Most of them say they couldn't fully replace the same income stream. Okay, so they,
Mm-hmm.
they couldn't get the
Mm-hmm.
same level of income, especially in the
Mm-hmm.
first kind of weeks and months. Well,
Mm-hmm.
the severance package helps, but obviously, then
Yeah.
then you're on your own. But what helped is, yeah, you can kind of look at cutting your costs and doing different stuff. But it also helps to maybe redefine a little bit what the success looks
Mm-hmm.
like, because in a corporate world, sometimes you kind of try to kind of catch the biggest amount of money you can, and you're working for the dollars and everything. Here,
Mm-hmm.
this freedom to choose, this freedom to do or not do things, the flexibility could come at a cost of a lower income. You might not be taking certain engagements,
Mm-hmm.
but that means that you are prioritizing maybe some other success measure, which is like more flexibility, more time with your family, more time to
Mm-hmm.
travel. I actually
Mm-hmm.
met today a good friend of mine who's former general manager of Intel Poland, and he said like, "Hey, I could have gone back to this and that job, but
Mm-hmm.
honestly, I want to work only 4 days or 3 days a week,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and that is what I have prioritized. And yes,
Yep.
I consciously make less money than I used to make in the
Mm-hmm.
past."
Mm-hmm.
Well, because I want to work only 3 days a week, and I want to travel, and maybe I don't travel to the luxury hotels anymore. Uh, but it's still, it's the places and the locations that I'm interested in. So that was an interesting discussion as well.
Well, and it is looking at your income streams. The second bullet says diversifying your income streams, right? And that is so true. So think about your investment portfolio for those of you that invest. You don't put all of your investment in high risk stocks. You have some bonds, some money market, some you're diversifying your money. And that's no different that you're diversifying the projects that you work on. And so your paycheck may not come in one big check written to you by one entity. Your paycheck might now come from different things, right? And like for me, right, some of my paycheck comes from the tea shop. I actually doubled down on the tea shop and grew the tea business. So some of that comes in, right? And some of the other monies comes from my consulting. And so it comes from different places. And it's really kind of around shifting that. But yeah, shifting also your priorities around where, how and what you spend your money on, right? Um, and
Also, your
whether
needs
it's the
could
type of car you drive.
decline, right? Because when I was at the
Yes,
corporation, I had three little kids. They require a slightly different investment than maybe
yes,
the kids
yeah,
that are older and can make some money on their own.
yes, 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 yes. Yeah, that's very true. My daughter is now 18. She's moved out of the house. I don't have aging parents that I used to be taking care of and paying bills for them. So yeah, it changes for very different reasons. So I guess the message is not just look at your income, look at the full picture and
Correct.
adjust the entire frame.
Okay, so what's the key message, Renee? The key message is it's a both sides of the coin. So you have some freedom, you have some
Yeah.
challenges to address.
Yes.
Mm, it's again, it's a preparation. So if you are aware of some of the pitfalls and challenges and issues, you can kind of prepare for them, um,
Hmm.
and then balance the two.
Yeah. Yeah. I've become an expert at pivoting and staying flexible, right? Which was a little bit difficult for me. I'm a super structured. I like patterns. I like repetition. I'm a little OCD, so which stands for obsessive compulsive, right? I needed to, it was an adjustment for me. I am not gonna like sit here and say, oh, the past 2 years have been fantastic. No, there have been some days that have been awesome and some days that have really sucked. And it's
That's
just
life.
part of the journey. Yes.
That's life,
Hmm.
I guess.
Yep. Yep.
So I'm gonna stop sharing, and
Yes.
I wanted to thank you, Renee, again for the interesting conversation. We're gonna have another chat next week when
Yep.
yes, and we'll continue having a discussion about how to reinvent your career and how to kind of look for new options, new way to invest your skills or take advantage of your skills and the knowledge and experience that you are bringing from your corporate life.
Yes, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, and send us those comments. Keep sending us those comments. We read them, we value them, we try to weave them in and incorporate them into our subsequent presentations. We really
And, and
appreciate
and
all of
seriously,
you.
if you think that it's helpful, tell us because we are also
Hmm.
we like to know
Yeah.
that we are doing a good job. Nothing this
Hmm.
didn't change, from the days that we were
Hmm.
working for the corporation when getting some kind of a reward and recognition.
Our
Uh,
ego
it,
likes it. Our ego needs it.
yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Renat. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Magic. Bye,
Bye.
everybody.